Alright, since the last video I've gone ahead and done several things. I finished the beading, burning on his bead strip here and up around his neck. I went ahead and detailed the collar necklace here. Really wasn't much to it. So, and also I did some burning over here on the fringe. And I thought that if you look at this Indian back here, you'll see that the fur is on, the majority of the fur is on the inside of the robe, and the skin is on the outside. So I thought, well, on this one I'll put the skin on the outside, or some of the skin on the outside, most of it on the inside, and the fur on the outside, just to be different. Because these guys are basically twins. And I also went ahead and attached a braid to one side, and so today I thought what we do is I'll show you how I did that. Okay? But like I say, these are pretty much the same size. They make a nice little presentation. It'd be great if someone just paid for both of them. So what we're going to do today is we're going to attach a braid. All right? Now, the first thing I do when I attach a braid is I put my glove on. That's the first thing I do. Is create a platform for the braid. Just about like that. Okay. Make that a little higher. Like that. Okay. Now, to get a pattern for the braid, because I like to fit it close to the body, I use a copper wire. This is just a piece of copper wire. And this is the pattern I used when I made that braid over there. You can see that it pretty well approximates the shape of it. Alright? So, I use a little drill here. This is about the same size as the braid, or as the wire, excuse me. I'm just going to drill a hole right here in about the center of that platform. Just like that. Put that back up there. I'm not going to need my gloves for this project, so I'll just finish with this now, so I'll just take it and I'll bend it back straight. And I will insert this end into the hole.
Can you move the carving around? Thank you.
Move that carving, and now I want to figure out exactly how I want that braid to lay on the piece. So it's probably going to come down about like this right here. So, just holding it down, I'll bend it. I'm going to go right into that area right there and form it. It's going to take a little maneuvering to get it right in there. But we will eventually. My hand's in the way. It doesn't have to be exact. Now we're getting close now. There we go. That's what we want right there.
Thank you.
This one's pretty easy. This one was a little more difficult because it had that, I wanted it to drape over that beaded strip. All right? So, now that we've got that done, we've got pretty much the shape of the braid as it lays down here. Not the top, but the bottom. Okay? So I'm going to take this right there, and I'm going to make me a mark. Excuse me a minute. make me a mark of where it goes in to the body, or the hair, okay? So that'll show me the layout. Now I've got me a piece of basswood here. I'm going to lay this on here. Now remember, this line is the bottom of the braid, so we want to, let's see, first of all, let's measure this and make sure that we've got, yeah, perfect. Okay. So there's the top where it goes into the head. So I'm going to come up here about there, giving myself plenty of extra wood there on the end, so you can see my mark there, and that was the part that went into the head, okay? And I'm just going to lay that there. And I'll give you a little hint. What we want to do with this is we want to build as much strength in this braid as possible, but also at the same time we want to make it as easy to carve as possible without losing the strength, okay? So this one's curved like this, so it's not going to be such a difficult thing to do. So I'm just going to hold that there, draw a line with a pencil that won't mark. Just like that. Okay, so there's the bottom of the braid. We'll just take that right on out there. And then I'll just freehand this here, allowing myself plenty of room for the braid. Now I'm going to go cut this out on the bandsaw, and I'll be back here in just a second. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of round this piece off. Now, holding this braid in place, what we're doing now is we're going to match this to that shape up there as much as we can. Because we want it to mate with the head as close as possible. You might have to move here. Well, that's about right there. I'm going to take my pencil and I'm just going to draw a line about right there, down the side. See it here? Runs right down the side. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shave this area down to get rid of all the bumps along that line. Much as possible. And then it's just a matter of carving away. You're not going to hit it. You're never going to hit it exactly. You're going to get close, but it's going to take some whittling to get it to match up. I'm not worried about cutting away a lot of the detail that I've carved on there earlier, because I've got a lot of wood here still that I can play with. Just like over here, I took out a groove right here so I could mate it up with this braid, and then I just recarved that area there. So that's why that braid just fits right in there, right nice and close to the head. And I'm going to be doing that right here pretty quick. That's where I want it to go. Just right there. Get my gouge here. Where are you? It takes a lot of fitting when you're doing this. As you can see, we're getting closer all the time. Oh, watch out there. I gave myself a, let's see what I gave myself. Forgive me if I get in the way here, but I have to see what I'm doing. Okay, I think we're pretty good. All right, now, what I want to do, pick up my knife off the floor. Hopefully it didn't break the tip off, and it didn't, so good shape there. I'm going to take my wire here. I'm going to put it up here. measure the braid, which is right to there, and straighten it back out. And then I'm going to hold it up next to this one here and make me a mark right here. Because that's where the braid is. See how it's going to be in farther than the hair? I don't want to carve too much off of here because that's what's mating up there. So what I'm going to do is just basically take more off of the top area. I'll make a little indentation there, but not much. And we want to get this down to where it's the same size as that up there. Close. Looking good. Okay. Now we want to do the same thing here. From this point down to the end of this braid, which is right here. Just bend right there. So we need to take off this. About like that. Let's see how we're doing here. A bit more. There we go. Okay, and again, this is what we want laying against the wood, so we don't want to take off too much of that. But we can take off a lot of this here. I like to give a little uneven shapes in here to just make it that much more interesting. As I'm doing this, I want to keep this line right here. I don't want to mess with that too much. I want it laying as flat against the body as possible. Let's see what we got here. Looks good. Looks good. Okay, now that we've got the shape, we got a shape of a braid now. What we're going to do now is we're going to detail it. Now, the first thing I do is I count the number of wraps on my braid. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So starting right here, I'm going to make a mark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there's 6 at the top, okay? And then I'm just going to go around the braid and carve the wrap. Now, this wrap here will eventually come up and end up here. And this wrap here will eventually come up and end up here. Understand? So don't try to match this wrap with that wrap. You're not going to do it. And if you try it, you're going to goof up your wrap design. And try to get them as even as you can, the space between each wrap. It just looks so much better when they're that way. So I'll go ahead and finish this and then we'll come back, okay? Okay, I got my wrap done all the way up there. Now I'm going to get me a little V tool right here. I'm going to make a gouge mark up there like that. Just evenly spacing. Just like that, okay? And then we're just going to take your gouge. You can kind of weave this thing around so you don't have all straight lines. Just like that. Run into trouble right here. That's where the grain turns. So. Turn our gouge around. Make that as clean as possible. There's always one area in a wood carving that always gives you a lot of trouble, and that's where the curves meet. Hard to do with a gouge, but I can go in and clean it up with my knife. There we go. Looks pretty good. Now, we use a little, find it, this little curve gouge here. Same thing I used here on the braid, and I'll be using it again up here on the hair. Now, right here is where the grain changes. You can only carve one way, and then you got to switch it around and carve the other way. So right between those two, areas where you used your V tool, you can use this little what you call it, carving tool. Hot in here today. Summer's coming. Summer is coming. Time to head to the mountains, which is what we're going to do here in September, but it's quite a ways away from September. This is a pretty easy way. Doing it this way is a pretty easy way to simulate hair. At least I think it is. Oh, that looks pretty good. Let's see what we got here. Okay, now what I do, take that little drill out that I used to drill the hole for the wire. I'm going to put in a 1/8 inch drill into my out here a little. And then I'm going to take this, hang on a minute, approximate where it's going to go, and it looks like it's going to match the hole pretty well. The reason I'm doing that is to allow more glue to get into that area. Create a little divot there to allow you more glue. Now, to attach that braid to the head, I'm going to use a 5-penny galvanized nail. Okay? Now, why do I use a galvanized nail? Because galvanized nails, well, they're galvanized, they won't rust, and they're very rough from being dipped into the galvanizing material. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to cut the head off of it, like that. I stick that in there like that. And I'm going to stick this up here in that hole like that, and that's going to show me how much more I have to cut off. Just about that much. Perfect. Perfect. So there we have the other braid. It's in position. Let me just check here a little bit. It could actually be trimmed down just a little more. Nail. Where'd you go? Better shut off the camera, Judy, while I find my nail. Okay, that helped it quite a bit right there. Alrighty, so we're in business. Now, what we're going to do is mix up some epoxy to put all that those two pieces together, okay? So let me get the epoxy. Okay, this is a gel epoxy. If you go down to Home Depot or a home store, Lowe's, here's regular epoxy. This is both of these are 5-minute epoxies. This is regular epoxy. It's thin, so you can see it moving around in there. It's fairly thin stuff. This is a gel epoxy. They used to carry this in the home stores, but then for some strange reason, I guess it didn't sell that much, so they discontinued it. But you can still get it on Amazon. It's the same glue, it's just thick. And the reason I use this instead of that is because this don't drip. And this is so thick over here in the white, I have to actually do this to get it to come out of there. messy. Give me a toothpick here. What you want is you want an equal amount of each. Looks like about right. It don't have to be exact, but the closer you get it, the better off you are. And then you just mix it together. And don't worry about rushing. You've got plenty of time. It says 5 minutes. So it's not going to go off on you immediately. Just make sure you've got it good and mixed up. That's what you want. I think we're good. Alrighty. So I'll take my nail out of there, get some on my toothpick, and just run it down in there. Like that. And then I'm going to get some on my nail, like that, and then I'm going to shove it down in there, like that. So now I know I've got a lot of glue in there around that nail. Now, forgot one thing. Oh wait, no I didn't. Sometimes you have to bend this nail. You know, your two holes won't match up. It's not hard to do. You just get you a pair of pliers and you go down and close to where the nail joins the one piece, and then you grab it there and you just bend it a little, and you keep doing that until you get a good match. Okay? I mean, I had to do that over here. It's unusual when you don't have to do it. So again, I'm shoving some glue down in that hole. I want to get as much in there as I possibly can. Okay. And then I'm going to put some glue on this nail. Just like that. And then I'm going to take the rest of the glue and I'm going to put it all in here, all around this, with that braid, just like that. And then I'm going to put that up there and just mash it together like that. Just like that. And see what I mean about it not dripping? If you'd used the other stuff, you'd have a mess, believe me. Looks like we got a good joint in there. It's not going to hurt if you get some on your other piece down here. You can always just carve it off, but you want to be as neat as possible. And then we just sit and wait for it to go off. I can try to put a rubber band around that and then grab one. Do that, it just never seems to match up. What do you know? It looks like it actually did. And now we just sit and wait until it goes off. So we'll come back in a little bit. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes, a little over 5 minutes. The glue is set up. It's still not set up completely. See, it's solid, but it's still soft. So your braids will hold their shape, and this is the point you're looking for right now. The braids will hold their shape. I can take off the rubber band, take the head off. See, the braids are in there. I mean, you could move them around. You don't want to, but you could if you want to. But being as the glue is still soft, now you can come in with your knife and you can slice off all that excess. And you can even slice off a little wood if you want to. What we're after here is basically an invisible line, or as invisible as you can get it. But when we get through with this, you're not even going to be able to see that line. I guarantee it. So there we go, we've got that braid attached. And guy's looking good. So now what we do is we need to just wait until till we make the next video, and we'll continue on with this. I think what we'll do next is we'll do the feathers for the head, okay? Because after we do the feathers for the head, if you wanted to stop at that point, after we had to get the feathers made, if you wanted to stop at that point and go ahead and paint your figure, you'd have a complete Indian bust. You just wouldn't have the shield. So, I mean, we're not going to actually do that, but I mean, you could do that. But the only thing that will be left after we do the feathers, we'll just start working on the shield. Okay? And this is going to be pretty impressive, I'll tell you. Okie doke. So until next time, I'll talk to you later.